The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, hello, and welcome to another webinar in the Agile Self-Defense series. I'm really excited to be with you here today to talk a little bit about problems with product owners today. It's actually a very common problem in enterprise organizations, and I'm going to be talking about 3 of the most common problems that I see out there when I'm working with clients in the product owner realm. This can actually be crippling to an Agile project and really make you lose all of the value that we're trying to get out of going to an Agile approach. So before we get started, I just want to make a quick check here to make sure you can all hear me speaking. So if you can hear me, hit the little raise your hand button so that I can see that you can hear me. All right, I'm seeing folks raise their hands, so thank you very much. And we'll get going. So product owners, as you know, we'll start with the basics. Product owner is the person whose job it is to look out for the customer and to be the person that represents the requirements. In a traditional project, you might think of this person as the project sponsor, but they're a little bit different than a project sponsor. So a project sponsor is the one that really is looking to get the work done, who wants this project to be done. But a product owner really is the person who's looking to represent the customer and all of their customer needs. So that's who the product owner is. And let's get started here. We're going to go through 4 different phases here. We'll talk about product owner done right. Right, so first let's define what a product owner really should be doing. And we'll talk about 3 different anti-patterns of product owners. And we'll see what it looks like out there when people are doing it wrong, and what are some of the symptoms. And then, of course, what can you do about those things when you're experiencing that problem or that anti-pattern. So let's talk about product owner done right here. The product owner done right. Here's our happy little product owner. He's representing the product there, that little fan. The first thing that I would say, and these are in no particular order, but the first thing I would say is that the product owner they're business-minded. They're really business value driven. So they're not interested in their own personal agendas or their own little fiefdom or that kind of thing. They're really interested in driving business value for the customer. And, whoops, sorry about that beep. And when we see things go wrong, is when they lose that focus on the business value. Another one of the key characteristics of product owner when it's done right is that product owner is their one and only job. Now, this is the classic definition of a product owner, okay? So in a productized organization, right, say you're looking at what? Boy, I had the name in my head. Microsoft, that's to pick one that's Adobe. That's what I was thinking of, Adobe. So say you're Adobe, and your product line is all these different, Photoshop and, the animation tools and all these tools that they've got. And you've got PDF tools and all those kinds of things, right? Each one of those tools or each one of those products is going to have their own product owner. Now, I'm not saying that I know that Adobe is actually aligned this way, but I'm making this story for you. So the product owner, their job is to run that product line. So the PDF product line, right, the Adobe Reader PDF product line, there's a product owner who wears the full-time job of managing this product, of getting feedback from the customers, of thinking of exploring with different groups of people new ideas, trying to come up with new product needs. How are people actually using, we think the customers are going to use the product this way. How are they actually using it? And these are the things that a product owner is really doing as a full-time job. Now, shift that over to, say, a health insurance organization or like a hospital or some kind of any kind of other organization where your IT department is not the main product that is being delivered, but is a support line to the main product, right? In a hospital, healthcare is the main support, and the clinical administration systems are support systems to that main product, healthcare, right? So your health organization or your ancillary organizations here are kind of feeding into that. And so you've got somebody who's really got their finger on the pulse of what the customers need, who's in that health delivery organization. But now we say, hey, great, I know you're the director of this division, the health services division, but we need you to wear this hat too. We want you to be the product owner for the health administration software. Okay, can you do that? It's a full-time job in addition to your other full-time job? Can you see how this becomes a problem? I see it all the time, and it's not something that you can get away from. We'll talk about it as we get further into it, but this is one of the positive ways that product owners done right is when it's their one and only job. And it's their top priority, right? If it's your only job, it is your top priority. And I throw that in there because sometimes you'll have an organization where it's, they're not their only job, but it could be that is their top priority, so those offset each other. But in a product owner done right scenario, you have the product that they are managing this is their top priority. They have their entire focus is helping to support, deliver, remove roadblocks, everything, delivering on this product. So product owner done right, that product is that person's top priority. And they really understand the product, right? So many times in enterprise organizations in particular, right, where we've taken this person from the business line and we've asked them now to be the product owner, we see them, they don't really understand the product. They know what they need, but they really don't understand from a business perspective, but they don't understand the product, how it works, not even from a technical perspective, but really what are all the features and how does it have to work together in order to supply their needs in the way they need it. Again, if this person had this as their full-time job, they could be able to take the time to truly understand that product inside and out. But this is a sign of it being done correctly when they really, really understand. And you'll see it when they're sitting in like a demo and they ask those deep questions, right? They're not just looking at the surface of it, but they look at some feature that you've developed and go, okay, but to that, for that, it must mean that this, and this are happening, correct? And they nailed it right on the head, where the impacts of whatever change you made affect downstream things. They really understand the product inside and out. All right. And they understand the customers, right? Which is really the end consumer of this. And this could be internal customers or it could be external customers, but they really, really understand the customers, where they're coming from, what their needs are, what are their really driving wants, their pain points that this product will help to fix. So they really understand the customer's needs and how their product can help to resolve those needs. Yes, a true product owner, a good product owner, when it's done right, they have political clout, right? This is the person who can sway a VP or a CXO level person because they're trusted, right? They have been given this position high enough in the organization that they have the political sway to make things happen, right? To really help you get rid of the organizational roadblocks that might come into the way. They really have that political strength in the organization. They're compensated on success specifically of this product, right? Now, maybe it doesn't have to be that way, but I find that if someone is compensated on the success of the product, they're going to have a lot more interest in that product, right? They're going to be interested in how it works and how successful it is and what are my customers really wanting. It really kind of heightens your interest in what it is that's being delivered. An interesting corollary, like I taught an Intro to Agile and ACP prep class last week. Wow, it was just last week. Last week in Oslo, Norway. And it was an internal, a pro client. And I have found that whenever I do classes for a private client like that, the level of intensity and the level of questions that come from that group of people is much more intense. The questions are deeper and more poignant, more immediately applicable. And that's because these people have been told, and they brought Joseph in, they brought the Whitewater Projects in to teach this class, and you're going to be asked to do it. So they really know that I'm going to have to do this soon. It's not just theoretical, it's real to them. And it's similar to this, right? That when the rubber is really meeting the road for them and their compensation is dependent upon the success of this, they're going to be more attentive and their questions are going to be much more pointed. They're not going to, their prioritization becomes very easy because they can clearly see, because they understand the customers and they understand the product, and they can clearly see how each decision they make affects both the company and their own personal compensation. So it may not always be the case, but this is a good leverage point for a product owner. And another one is that their decisions generally can't be overruled. Now, this is a generalization, but generally you shouldn't be able to trump the product owner, right? They're high enough in the organization that the only folks that are going to trump their decisions are going to be, I don't know, CEO levels and that kind of level of people, because they're the ones that are in control of that product, right? They are actually the person whose neck is on the line for that product. And again, this is where in enterprise organizations it becomes a problem, because you end up with a matrix situation, right, where you're asking the product owner to come from a business line, typically, and sit as a chair on the product line, as the product owner, but the product is really in the end going to be owned in the operations and maintenance perspective by the IT organization. So the IT organization may have to have a trumping decision on some of the technology decisions. And if the product owner is really a true product owner, it's their one and only job, they're on the top, and they understand the product both from a technical and a customer perspective, then their decision, and they are truly product line responsible, then they own that product from the beginning to the end, from customer interface back to the final database and hardware in the back end. It's all theirs. And no one can tell them, no, you can't use this server, or no, you need to use this database. It's their neck on the line, and they generally are going to make decisions that are in line with the rest of the organization because they want to be supported. But they're not able to be trumped in their choices of that. All right. So let's talk about some anti-patterns. The first anti-pattern of product owners is right here, the absent product owner. How many of you have had that happen before? The absent product owner. In this one, you find, I typically find you have two key elements of a good product owner that are missing. So this is what we're going to do. We see this list of good product owner elements, and we're going to go through and show, okay, for this anti-pattern of the absent product owner, these are the ones that are missing, right? So typically, when you find that the product owner is absent, you'll find that it's not their only job, right? They they have another job full-time that they're doing, and they're not around for you. And sometimes this product, which is your top priority, isn't their top priority. It's not what they're really compensated for. It's not what their first priority is in life. So they often are absent. You need their decisions, and they're not there to help you. And this can kill an Agile project. Some of the symptoms, decisions that lag for days, right? You need a decision made quickly, and in Agile, this is what we need. We need decisions that can be made like this. Boom, boom, boom. Immediate decisions that can be made on our products because we need to be agile, the ability to change quickly. And if we have to wait for days or sometimes weeks for the product owner to get back to us with an answer, that's the problem. That's going to slow down development. That's going to cause delays, not only just in delivery, but it causes demoralization in the product team, right? It's demoralizing for the team to be waiting for the product owner and knowing that, you know, they really don't care about us. This project is not their top priority. That's going to kill your project team. You know, so much of the value that we can get out of Agile comes from the fact that the product teams are energized and excited about what they're doing. And when they get demoralized like that, yeah, you lose in more ways than one. You'll find that they're too busy for demos. That when I see that a product owner hasn't shown up for one of the demos, the first time I talk to them immediately, right? What's going on? Why is this not happening? Why were you not there? And sometimes there's a legitimate reason, especially the first one, because, oh, I had this meeting scheduled already, you know, months before this project started. Okay, I'll buy it. But if it's just that something else has trumped it, that something else was more important, then there's a problem, right? Then we know that we've got this absent product owner problem. And the third symptom is one that I talk to in my classes a lot, is a stair-step cumulative flow. Let me show you what that means. All right. Oftentimes we'll use a burn-up, shown in this chart here, right, where you have the number of points over a given period of time. Down across the bottom is a time scale. Say it's, you know, it could be releases, it could be sprints, or it could be weeks, depending on whether you're using Kanban or Scrum. If you're using Scrum, an iterative approach, then it's across the bottom here is the number of iterations. Up the vertical axis is the number of points that are completed over that amount of time. So this is a chart that shows, you know, in the first 2 weeks or 4 weeks, we completed 2 points worth of stories here, and we completed what it looks like about 8 points worth of stories there, and we're moving up, boom, 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 over the time here. This is a great chart, but it doesn't show you enough. And I really encourage you to not only use burn-up. I avoid using burn-up. I would rather see this chart, which is a cumulative flow chart. From this chart, you can see on the lightest blue over here on the left upper corner, this is all the total backlog. And it's not always going to be a flat line, you know, because, you know, backlogs grow. They kind of change, and then they go down as we take stuff in and out of scope. And this next color blue here is the work in process. So this is the work that the team has taken on. So day one, they had nothing. Day two, boom, they took on, 9 points worth of work in process. But they haven't finished any of it, right? And here it looks like they finished about 3 points worth of work, right, out here, because you can see this medium blue completed, right? And that was a line that we saw the first time. Oops, here, right? See how that line matches? It's the same line. So you see the completed work. But then down here, this darkest, you see accepted. This is what I'd like to see, this pattern that you can see here, where the completed, or the work in process we're talking about right here is okay. There's not too much work in process. The completed work right here is cruising along, and there's the smallest gap between completed and accepted. This is what I mean by the stair step. If you look at this slide, and if you happen to have wandered away for a second, please come back and take a look at this slide, because this slide will show you the stair step that I'm talking about. You see on your cumulative flow a pattern that looks like this, where the team is completing work on a pretty good basis. They're cruising right along with the expected timeline. But what you see here is missing product owner, boom. They accepted a bunch of stories. Missing product owner, the product owner hasn't even been around. They didn't do anything. They didn't accept any stories until, boom, all of a sudden it jumps up here. Missing product owner, boom. Now you expect me to believe that in this, 2 days, you accepted, 20 points worth of work and actually reviewed it? I don't think so. This is a big, serious anti-pattern. I look at this kind of a slide, and it makes me need to go talk to the product owner. Even before they don't show up for the demo or anything like that, you look at this slide and see this pattern, and you can know that you have a problem with the product owner not being engaged. Now, it might not be this extreme. You might see it flatline out a little bit like this. But if you see this pattern even slightly start to show up, you need to talk to your product owner and try and get them back, get them engaged again, because you've lost them. And this could be the end of your project if they get disengaged, right? Because you don't get your questions answered, and then you don't make the right product, and then you wind up wasting entire weeks worth of work because they didn't get engaged until here, and then, oh, that was the wrong thing. I didn't really mean that, is the answer that you get. And so now you have to go back, and the whole team gets, again, demoralized because the product owner is not involved. I have seen project teams in enterprise-sized organizations get so jazzed, so excited when we had a distributed project team, about 150 people on the project team, 5 different Scrum teams, and ancillary other folks. And we started having our sprint reviews and planning session on one day together. We'd fly people in for it, and we were distributed over several states here in the United States. So it wasn't like out of country we had to fly them. So it was possible to fly them in every other iteration. On the ones where the product owner actually flew in for them, and it wasn't all of them. We had this problem, right? He didn't fly in for all of them. But on the ones where he did, the energy in that room was incredible. The morale of the team just popped up because they knew, wow, he flew here for us. This whole day of this high-flying executive, his whole day's time is here for us. That means a lot to people. It really, really means a lot to them. So what do you do if you have this problem? Well, there's a few cures to get your product owner back engaged. There they are. Hey, happy product owner. Structure. I'm going on the assumption that you can't just completely change your organization. You're an enterprise organization, probably, and you're not going to change the whole company to be productized, right? If you're a productized organization, like I talked about, if you're Adobe and you can go product line, great. Then you won't have this problem, or you'll be able to resolve it in different ways. But for the rest of us, we need to have structure, right? We need to get onto that product owner's calendar and get in there so that the work that we're doing is a priority to them. Provide them with a structure that says, these are the days when we need you. Anticipate the times when you're going to need them, right? Don't wait for things to get done to schedule that meeting. It's impossible to schedule stuff with executives like that. Take the time and plan it out ahead of time and anticipate when you're going to have those needs. talk to them and get their commitment. You know, I mean, they may not even realize that they're doing it. They probably don't, because most of the time, this is the status quo in organizations, right? The status quo is that we don't have enough time, and so we multitask on multiple projects, and the executives do the same thing, and this is their regular modus operandi. This is the regular mode of operation for them. And so if you talk to them and get that commitment from them to say, you know what, this isn't the way Agile projects work. This really will be a detriment to this project. And the value that you think we're getting by using an Agile approach, we are losing by not having you there. And you are very, very valuable to this team. They need your input. Talk to them. Get that input. Get that commitment from them. Get them empowered, right? Maybe they feel disempowered to be making those decisions. Maybe talk to the folks upstream from them and get them the empowerment that they need to be able to actually deliver for you, to be committed to your project. Maybe you need to talk to, and this takes guts from the project manager or Scrum Master's perspective, but you have to step up to it if you're a transformation agent. You need to talk with their superiors, your product owner's superiors, and say, hey, we need this person. She's critical to the success of this project, and if there's anything that I can do to help get some things off of her plate, or can we rearrange things or reduce the number of projects in process, that would be great. We need to do it. And deliver to inspire. I have found that oftentimes product owners and executives at this level go through something, it's kind of akin to fatigue. It's a kind of fatigue that they go through. They're tired, and all of it, they're on 10 different projects, probably more, right? Because they're an executive and they're on the steering committees for multiple projects. And they get fatigued from all these meetings, from all the stuff that they're doing, because nothing really shows up. And in traditional approaches, it takes a long time before they see anything. And as an Agile organization, if you start delivering even little pieces of work early, you will get their attention. And as you deliver and continually, consistently deliver, you will get more and more of their attention, because they'll like working with you, because as opposed to that other project over there that spent the last 6 months in requirements, this project over here, they've delivered 6 times in the past 6 months. Every month they deliver something new to me, and I get to see this product actually growing. It's a definite benefit to being able to deliver. I'm looking here, I see a question. And please feel free to ask questions at any time. I will try and answer them as we go through. How many weeks is a typical recommended Agile cycle? You know, Cindy, that changes depending on the kind of project that the kind of methodology that you're using. I tend to, and this is kind of stepping off the product owner's question for a second, but typical iterations that I recommend if you're using Scrum are 2 to 3 weeks, and I prefer 2 weeks. I know that's a short amount of time, and people, when you're first looking at it, they balk at that. But really, 2 weeks is an adequate amount of time if you have a properly sized Scrum team to actually deliver some working software. The reason that I put it down that small is because if you make it longer than that, you have too long of a cycle between initiation, delivery, feedback, and then recalibration, right? So if you get feedback that says, that's great, but I really wanted it this way, a slight tweak, and your iterations are 8 to 12 weeks, then you have, from the beginning, you have 8 weeks or 12 weeks, and then you have your feedback point and 8 weeks or 12 weeks. So you've got like 16 to 24 weeks before you have something that you think is actually what the customer is looking for. If you shorten that up to a 2-week cycle, you deliver smaller pieces of work, but you get your feedback a lot quicker, and you can adapt much more quickly. It also gives less time for things to go sideways, right? If someone is struggling with a particular piece of feature or function that they're trying to develop, if they're struggling with that piece and you have a 12-week cycle, it's easy for people to pause and say, oh, well, that's okay. I don't know why those things are opening up. I can skip another day, or I can let this slide another day, or 2 days, or 3 days. And 3 days turns into 5 days, and turns into 8 days, turns into 10. And it's okay because we've got 12 weeks. If you only have 2 weeks, you don't let anything slide. There's an intensity that comes with that says, you know, I can't let this slide because we as a team have to deliver in 2 weeks. And the team then works together, and it's not a product manager or something pushing on someone to get something done. It's the team saying, dang, we got 2 weeks to deliver this, and I worked on this all day yesterday and couldn't resolve it. I need help. And they'll ask for help much more quickly. So that's why I say 2 to 3 weeks is the time frame. And if you can start delivering in that kind of a cycle, then you really will inspire not only your product owner, but the other teams and the other people who are involved in it. I remember on one project when I was on a call with the product owner and the sales force, and they were frustrated with this project that I had just been given it as a recovery project because it had gone sideways and was really on going down in flames. I mean, not on fire, like in a good way. I took over the project, and we started to deliver better. And I was making a commitment to the sales team that we would be making releases every month. Now, that's a release. So what we were doing on the back end was having 2-week sprints that we would deliver every 4 weeks. So we'd do 2 weeks, get some feedback, make any modifications, and then deliver. And the sales team literally applauded on the other end. It took me aback a little bit first because it was the first time that something like that had ever happened. But when you start delivering consistently, and they didn't care what we were delivering, just that we were delivering something that they could count on and that they could tell their customers about. They were ecstatic. So those are some of the cures for the absent product owner. Get them engaged, get commitment, get them empowered, and start delivering so they get excited about being around you. All right. The ever-popular multiple product owners, also known as the steering committee or the product owner committee or something like that. I like these little blue guys. This is a very, very common anti-pattern, and it's one that, it's one that I've run into, I think, every time I've worked in an enterprise organization on an Agile project. So what do we got here? Remember, this is our list of product owner done right and strikeouts for all the things that don't happen when you have multiple product owners. They may be business value minded. It may be that all of them are really interested in providing value to the business overall. That's great. However, you have multiple people, and therefore it is clearly not their only job. It is clearly not their only top priority. I underlined these because I couldn't think of a way to halfway strike through things. It is very likely that some of the people on the steering committee or multiple product owner committee do understand the product, but others do not. And that's why you have a committee, right? You formed this committee because, well, some people have an interest for this group of people, and some people have an interest because of that group of people, and we have to have them all on the committee. Similarly, understanding the customer. You may have one group of people that understands the product, typically the IT group, and another group of people that understands the customers, typically some business people, but it's not merged into one. So you got half of those in each of those. Has political clout. Oftentimes, a committee does not have political clout. It may be that some of the individuals do, but the committee itself frequently doesn't have political clout, depending on the organization. Compensated on success, you know what? A committee is never compensated on its success with regard to a product like this. When you have a steering committee, I don't think I've ever seen a steering committee that is compensated on the success of that project, because it's just another project that's being done. Their underlings maybe the people who work below them are compensated on success, but they themselves are compensated on some other likely more difficult to directly affect intangible metrics, right? Other key performance indicators. And decisions cannot be overruled. Well, you know, you've got a committee, and that's what happens in committees. Is they're often in discussion after discussion after discussion, and they can't come up with a decision because some of them overrule each other, right? So these are the problems, and there are a lot of problems with having multiple product owners. And this probably is the most common situation in large enterprise organizations, right? Where you have some people from the business who want to have a say at the table, some people from IT who want to have a seat at the table, and everybody has to have this big discussion. What are some of the symptoms? Kind of the same symptoms. You have decisions that lag for days, weeks, months, because they can't make a decision. None of the individuals can make a decision until they meet as a committee and get everybody's feedback, and then they discuss it more, and then they go away and they have to discuss it with their peers, and then they come back again and have another meeting. And this is very difficult and very hard on a project team, especially if it's a project that has a lot of dissension, right? A lot of divergent ideas of how this should work. And you'll see this symptom. You may not even know that you have a committee. You may have the appearance of a single product owner, but if your single product owner can't make the decisions, right? If you hear them say, let me go talk to some folks about that, and they're frequently doing that, you may not have an actual committee that is the product owner committee, but there's an ad hoc committee that's somewhere that product owner doesn't feel they have the strength politically within the organization to make those decisions, and therefore they have to go get feedback from other people, right? They're having to get that input from this product owner committee. Those are the two key symptoms. And what do you do to make it better? Well, assuming you can't change the organization, have them meet more often, right? Have them meet. They may balk at this, but have them meet weekly. Short meeting on the phone, right? Ideally, they be in person, but you got to sell it somehow. So have them meet more frequently. Have them attend the daily stand-ups, or at least, and I know people will balk at that too. What? Product owners shouldn't be at the stand-ups? Yes, they should. They shouldn't be telling the product team what to do, but the product owner should be at the stand-up, because there are so many questions that can be immediately answered if the product owner is sitting there, right? And you don't have to waste your time going, oh, that's a good question. Let me go talk to the product owner. No secondhand telephone tag going on. Product owner's there, they answer the question, right? So try and have them meet more frequently. Get someone with these things that are missing, right? That has, maybe it can't be their only job, but the person that has political clout, right, and whose decisions are not easily overruled. If you can find somebody on that product owner committee who has the most political clout and whose decisions are not quickly overruled, make that person be the chair, because you still want one ringable neck, right? One person who, to the people up the line, to the CEO, that person is responsible for the success or failure of this project overall. And if you have a single person that chairs that committee, then their decisions are the ones that make up the right or wrong that happens with the committee. Okay? Again, delivering to inspire. If you start to deliver, they will get more excited about meeting together because they want to see what's going on. They'll want to come to your product demos. You know, something to talk with your product teams about, too, on all these cases is, you know, if we take on a little bit less in our iterations, if you're doing Scrum, if we take on a little bit less and make sure that we actually complete everything and don't have sprint carryover, yes, I've been in your sprint meetings. I know many of you have sprint carryover, right? A story that carries over from one iteration to the next. If you can get rid of that and your demos, you're actually demoing everything working that you said you were going to, the confidence that you will gain from that steering committee, from your product owner, will be incredible. It will skyrocket your project to success. All right. Number 3, the third type of anti-patterns of product owners. The powerless product owner. I'm working with an organization currently who will remain nameless, who has a powerless product owner. And you feel so bad for this person because they really want to do the job. They want to get the work done, but they don't have the power within the organization to get that done. You see, they don't have the political clout, and yes, their decisions can be overruled. And if you have this problem, you have the wrong person in the role of product owner. And really, the things that you'll see is their frequent need to go get approval, right? They'll say, that's interesting. Let me talk to some people. Again, similar to the committee. They can't make final decisions. Even when they have gone off to talk to that other person, they'll come back and you'll ask them one little question, and they still have to go back and get more information, and you'll also find that their decisions are reversed, right? They'll tell you, yes, this is what we're doing, X, Y, and Z, and then suddenly, their decision gets reversed. So these are some of the symptoms that you'll see when the product owner is powerless. So what do you do to empower your powerless product owner? Power for the powerless product owner. Find out who it is. Who is it in your organization who really has power? And either recruit them as the product owner or get them to empower the existing product owner. Easy to say, not so easy to do, huh? But if you have someone in that position of product owner who is powerless, disempowered, you will not be successful in the long term in achieving the level of speed and quality that you could if you had a product owner who really, really had the power to deliver, right? They had the power to make these decisions because they're slowing you down, right? It's obvious. They can't make those decisions in the moment. Them sitting there in the sprint meeting, like I was just talking about, sitting there in the sprint meeting ready to answer questions for you doesn't help because they don't have the final say. So you really, it's hard to do, but you really need to find somebody else to take that place or get them to empower this person. More often than not, it's going to be actually getting someone else to take that role. And sometimes, I don't know, you might have to get somebody from outside the organization to broach that topic with them. Bring in someone like me to come in and deliver the bad news. That's what consultants are for, right? We're the ones that come in and deliver the bad news. Say, you know what? That doesn't work. Do something different. Let me help you. Yeah, because it can be career limiting to try and remove a product owner who's been placed there, but it has to be done. It really has to be done. So here it is, product owner done right. They are business value minded. It is their one and only job. It is their top priority. That person understands the product inside and out, both technically and customer perspective. They understand the customers. What are their needs, wants? What are their burning needs and compelling desires, right? They have the political clout to get stuff done and to get the big decisions made. They are compensated on the success of this product, and their decisions cannot be overruled. Right? These are the people who, this is their deal, and they will, there's the final say. So that's what your product owner done right should look like, and we've talked about a couple of different anti-patterns. I'm wondering if folks have questions or if anybody wants a quick on-the-phone 10-minute, 5-minute coach session. Feel free to type into the question box there if you have any questions right now. Happy to answer them. Should have told you all that earlier, huh? But if you want to have a coaching session, remember the last one we did, I did the whole time was a live coach session. So if anybody else wants that kind of live coach session, please let me know. Otherwise, we're done talking about the product owner. It's been a great 48, 50 minutes. I have classes coming up. If anybody's interested, if you're in Madison, Wisconsin, or Ireland, Dublin, Ireland, or Oslo, Norway, I'll be down in San Diego at the end of June, New York in July. These last two, Phoenix and Atlanta, are some tentative dates. If you're in those areas, please let me know, and I'd love to make sure that we make that happen. Or your city. Where are you? If you're interested in having me come out to your city, and if you can get a group of, say, 8 or more people together, I'd be happy to fly out to where you are and make it happen. So post a question to me here if you want to make that happen, or shoot me an email at joseph@whitewaterprojects.com, and happy to be here for you. I'm going to stay on the line here for a few more minutes longer. If anybody wants to wait until the call is over and have a private coaching session, that's great too. So I'm going to go on mute, though, until that happens. All right, thank you all for coming, and I'll make a recording of this available, too, if you folks weren't able to come back up. Prior screen, yes, I'll put the prior screen back up. You can find these dates all on my website. Somebody wants the prior screen. That one? No, you want this one. All right, thanks, everybody. I'm going on mute. Ping me if you want a coaching session. Hi, Cindy. Can you?
Yeah, hi.
There you are. So what do you mean by the e-discovery?
Well, I was
You asked
wondering.
a question about e-discovery on Scrum projects, right?
Right. If you if you teach Agile for using it in e-discovery type projects.
What is an e-discovery type project?
Oh,
Let me
it's
understand what you mean by that.
electronic discovery for litigation.
Oh, I have not done a litigation project before.
Oh, it's
What?
supposed to be the hottest thing out there right now.
There's a lot of hottest things out there.
They don't have a lot of people, I guess. It's where you have to be technical and at the same time be no project management. And I know they use Agile. I just don't know Agile.
Hmm. What is it? Give me an example of an e-discovery project. What are they doing?
They're going in, like, let's say Google has a lawsuit. Somebody's, what is this kind of feedback here? Somebody, like a employee is going, claiming, discrimination. Then it puts the company on notice that they have to freeze all electronic source information. They call it ESI data, so like backups and things like that.
Right.
And then the project manager manages the entire process of pulling the relevant data that is could be evidence on the case, and then putting it in a format where it can be searchable. So it's been processed, and then the relevant, it's culled down so that there's a smaller amount of data so that it can be used for litigation.
No, I have no experience with doing that in particular, but I can see how that would be, an agile process would make a lot of sense for that, because you're able to do a little bit, get some feedback, is this the right stuff that we're getting, and reiterate on the process. So,
exactly, yeah. I just don't know Agile.
Yeah.
So,
so there's a lot of different resources on my website and on the internet as well about different agile processes. I think probably it would be most well suited to like a Scrum process, and Scrum process is one where you have a small team and they work in time boxes, little iterations of work, where you've got like a 2-week time period, like I was talking about on the call.
right.
2-week time period where you say, okay, in this 2 weeks we're going to dig through this data, right? And we'll deliver these particular things, and in that 2-week period to do that, and then you get feedback at the end of that. Is okay, that was the right thing, or no, it should be a little bit different, and let's look for this other kind of data next. And then in a 2-week period you do the same, just iterate over and over like that.
Right, that sounds about right, because it's very, very intense, short time frame.
Yeah.
Because they have like 30 days or something, and they have to go through millions of records.
Wow. Yeah. You might even shorten it up to just a couple days of iterations as you go through. As you get shorter like that, you wind up being more like a Kanban approach. The next call we're going to do next time is going to be about Kanban and how that works. So,
well, this is my first. I missed last week because I had school, but this is my first, and I'm going to try to make it to future ones. So I took notes.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, folks, if there's no more questions, I'm going to end the webinar. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.